Welcome to the Albany Pine Bush. My name is Erin Keinel and I work here at the Albany Pine Bush Preserve in Albany County, New York. And we're standing right here in front of the Discovery Center, which is an interpretive center about the Albany Pine Bush. And the Albany Pine Bush is a globally rare ecosystem that occurs right here in upstate New York. And we are here to help you learn more about it and how important it is for the local communities and for New York State as a whole to have such a special place right here in upstate New York. In 2007, this building opened to the public as the Discovery Center, which is an interpretive center for the public to come and look at exhibits, attend programs, and learn more about the Albany Pine Bush. The Discovery Center is sponsored by Trustco Bank, and in addition to there being an interpretive center here, we also have the Nature Conservancy on the second floor of the building here, so their offices are in this building as well. I just wanted to draw your attention to this logo here, and you can see this appears to be a tree. It looks like the characteristic pitch pine trees that you see growing here in the Albany Pine Bush Preserve. If you take a closer look though, you'll actually see that the branches represent many of the different wildlife species that you can find living here in the Albany Pine Bush, including the Karner blue butterfly, which is a federally endangered species. That's habitat is here at the Albany Pine Bush. This tells us a little bit about how the pine bush came to be and what lives here and how is life adapted to living in a pine barrens. And one of the really interesting things about the pine bush is that we have sand dunes here. So this exhibit right here is a chance where people can come and try making their own sand dune. And then over on the wall here, it tells us about many of the different animals that are here and how they're adapted to living in such a sandy habitat. This part of the Discovery Center teaches us about the role of fire here in the Albany Pine Bush. And it sometimes seems counterintuitive to maybe what we've learned in that fire actually can be beneficial for an environment like the Albany Pine Bush. The inland pine barrens has many species that depend on fire for their survival. So to make sure that they are able to survive here, we use prescribed fires to help maintain the inland pine barrens. So when you come to visit this exhibit, you'll learn about how prescribed fires work, how they're conducted, and what we do to make sure that they stay safe and under control. So when you come to the Discovery Center, you can learn a little bit about the history of people here in the pine bush, dating back hundreds to actually thousands of years, and all the way up until present time. And what are people doing today to learn more about the pine bush and to teach others about the pine bush, and really just what are people's own experience in coming to visit the Albany Pine Bush. And over here, this exhibit talks a little bit about how the land has changed over time. Originally, the pine bush covered over 25,000 acres. Today, less than 6,000 acres remain in a wild, open state, natural state. Of that, about 3,300 have been protected. And that we're not done yet. We are hoping that we will have a preserve someday that's over 5,000 acres. One of the exhibits that catches visitors' eye the quickest is this model of a pitch pine tree here. And this exhibit really shows one of the great adaptations of plants here in the Albany Pine Bush to living in a very sandy, fire-prone environment. And you can see what we're at eye level with here isn't the top part of the plant, which is what we would typically see, but it's with the roots. And the plants of the pine bush, including the pitch pine, have these incredible root systems. An incredible amount of the plant is actually underground. And here there are energy reserves stored in the roots. And so even if a fire comes through and damages the above ground part of the plant, those roots are able to resprout and grow new life shortly after a fire goes through. Their depth also helps them to seek out water deep down beneath the surface of the soil. Sand is very well drained. When it rains, the water percolates through quickly, and so deep, extensive root systems help these plants to find water in a somewhat dry environment. Another of my favorite exhibits is this one over here, and this talks about people and the pine bush. And really, the history of the pine bush couldn't be told without including the story of people here. And again, people have been here for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years, living off the land in the pine bush, building their homes here, establishing farms here, businesses, and certainly working to protect the pine bush. And the original work of protecting the pine bush began back in the 1970s with the group Save the Pine Bush. And through their work and the efforts of the Nature Conservancy and other concerned individuals, they were able to work with the state government to create the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission, which was established in 1988. And that really was the work of concerned citizens coming together and saying, this place is important to protect. We want to see it protected in the future. And the state went ahead and made it a priority to make sure that the Albany pine bush would be protected into the future. I am the education program director here at the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission. So my job is to oversee both the Discovery Center and all the educational programs that we do here at the preserve. So we've gotten to see a bit of the Discovery Center, and just to tell you a little bit about our programs, we offer guided programs for all ages, so from preschool all the way up through seniors and everybody in between. We have programs that take place out in the trails and here in the Discovery Center, and we hope that you can come join us someday to experience the pine bush with us and learn a little bit more about this place. And maybe along the way we'll hear this guy. This is a eastern towhee, and it sounds like this if you're out on the trails in the summertime. Sounds like it's singing, "Drink your tea."
Hello and welcome. My name is Jody, as Erin said. I work here at the front desk as a visitor services associate. One of my very favorite things is just seeing the look of wonder on our visitors' faces when they first walk in through the door. As you might have seen earlier, we have this amazing tree that hangs from the ceiling, and it's so exciting when we have children and adults alike that come in and get to see something like that for the first time. We have a booklet that's always available that shows the programs that we offer. Every week we have different things that are happening here at the Discovery Center. I also get to help orient them with the trail system that we have and kind of explain to them the different options they have, as well as the trails, all of those types of details. This is an upcoming event we have the night at the Discovery Center, which will be a fun time for all ages. November 20th from 4 to 7. It's a free evening and will be a lot of fun. And then some other times we get visitors that are really interested in questions about nature and things that they might find when they come to the preserve. One of the most common questions we get is about the Karner blue butterfly. I'm not sure if you can see on this bookmark here, there's some great pictures. The Karner blue is an endangered species. It's a little butterfly that's about the size of a nickel, and it's commonly found here in the preserve. So I'm going to walk around the desk for a minute to show you a little of what our visitors first see and share some of my favorite experiences when we have those big eyes that come in, excited to see what we have to offer them. Something that's really fun is actually right here on the floor. We have 3 separate bird tiles, and when you step on the tile, you'll hear a sound of that bird. And if you look up at the ceiling, you'll see that we have different types of birds hanging, but 3 of them do correspond with the sounds that are on the floor.
We're so glad that you came and learned about the Albany Pine Bush Discovery Center. We hope to see you here in person and come and visit us. We're open 7 days a week. We're open weekdays from 9 to 4 and weekends from 10 to 4. And when you come, you'll discover that there's so much more that we didn't have time to show you today. You can come and visit our Fact Finders Lab, which is a special temporary exhibit that will be opening soon. We have a photo exhibit that will be open through December and into the winter. We have many programs taking place, and so we hope that you'll be able to come and visit us here and learn more about the pine bush for yourself.
The show you are watching has been produced by SACC.TV. SAC-TV is a not-for-profit organization that provides educational programming, seeking to enrich communities by producing shows on culture, science, health, the arts, and more. SAC-TV is member-driven, which means that we rely on donations, grants, underwriting, and volunteers to deliver quality content. SAC.TV has been in operation continually since 1974 and currently operates a full-time studio in Rotterdam, New York. In recent years, SAC.TV has produced over 500 community-driven programs that are all available to view free to the public on www.sac.tv, on demand 24 hours a day. SAC.tv also airs shows on local television, channels such as WNYT, My4 Albany, with programs like Do You Know the Muffin Man, Caught in the Crossfire, Scene TV, Tune Into Wellness Today, and The Janice Thompson Show. Check your local programming schedule or www.sac.tv for times and dates. In SAC.tv's mission to connect and inform communities and individuals, every week we're producing new shows. To be able to provide this service, we are in need of your help. There's a lot of ways you can help SAC.tv and in turn help your community. Visit www.sac.tv. There you can click on Donate and select the contribution level of your choice. You can also help SAC.tv by sponsoring an ongoing program, volunteering behind the scenes, or even producing your own show. And as always, if you enjoy what you've seen, visit us on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe, like, share, and pass the word around. For more information and to see the latest shows, visit www.sac.tv or contact us as director@sac.tv or by phone at 518-831-9145. For now, back to our program, and stay tuned for more great shows.
Next, you'll get a chance to meet Neil Gifford, our Conservation Director. And Neil will be talking with you about the ecology of the preserve and all the science and research that takes place here.
Here we are in the Albany Pine Bush Preserve, and it is one of fewer than 20 known examples of this globally imperiled plant community that also happens to be fire dependent. And around us it's characterized by the pitch pine and the scrub oak, thus it's called Inland Pitch Pine Scrub Oak Barrens. And the whole system is driven by fire. And the reason we're managing and restoring the Albany Pine Bush and creating a preserve that will hopefully someday be over 5,000 acres in size is that it is globally rare and it depends on fire, but obviously we can't allow fire to run through the landscape the way it used to. We've developed and fragmented and chopped up the habitat with all of our roads and things. So now to manage and protect this globally rare wildlife, we use prescribed fire and a bunch of other tools to try and restore the pine bush back to a healthy ecosystem. So the Albany pine bush is a generic term for the open habitat that exists between Albany and Schenectady. It's characterized by rolling sand dunes, and it's got this crazy mix of a grassy shrubland or a shrubby grassland underneath this open canopy of pitch pine and oak trees. And embedded within all of that is an amazing suite of species, 76 wildlife species alone that are rare. And while those species are rare throughout most of North America, many of those populations are very large here, and that's what helps make the Albany pine bush unique and special. So the Albany pine bush, as the name suggests, is dominated by pines and bushes, but the pines aren't bushy and the bushes aren't pines. So it's characterized by pitch pine, which is the dominant tree, and it is kind of scraggly looking, very unique. And the other plant that characterizes this place is scrub oak. So it's a land of pitch pines and scrub oak bushes. And it's unique, you know, it's not a forest necessarily, and it's not a grassland, it's something in between. And that in-between stage has been maintained over the course of time by the terrible soils that are here. It's very sandy, droughty, nutrient-poor soils, and recurring fire. And that's helped to maintain it and keep it open. And the species, the animals in particular that live here, really can't live anyplace else. They can't live in a forest and they can't live in a grassland. They need this in-between stage of things. We're going to talk about prescribed fire next, and in the distance you can see a place where we applied prescribed fire on 8 acres this past summer. So let's go up on top of the hill and see what we can see from the fire. So here we are at the top of the hill, and this is an area about 8 acres that the commission staff used prescribed fire to treat this past summer. So all of the vegetation and growth that you see here, it's now 3 to 4 feet tall, has resprouted since the fire. The plants are very, very adapted to dealing with fire, all kinds of crazy adaptations, big, massive root systems, the ability to resprout. Pitch pine, for example, which the dominant pine here, is the only pine tree that we have in the east that can resprout needles after a fire. So even along the base of the tree, along the trunk, or along the branches, as fire comes through, within a year or so they'll resprout and produce new needles, almost like the fire never even happened. And if you remember, the pitch pine tree model that we have in the Discovery Center showed that nice big, long, deep taproot. And that's what helps these trees grow here, but it also gives them the energy to resprout new leaves after the fire. So this area that we burned back in June, because we can't let fire just run its course across the landscape the way it used to, we purposely set controlled fires or prescribed fires under predetermined conditions that we choose. Because as I said, fire here is as inevitable and as necessary as sunshine and rain to keeping this place healthy and keeping all of this rare wildlife here. To do a prescribed fire is a long, arduous process. We burned this in the scope of a couple of hours, but that was after writing a massive burn plan, getting that approved by the state, and then preparing the unit. This unit in particular, part of it was mowed first. We prepare the fire breaks, which are basically just paths of unburnable material. In this case, this unit is surrounded by our trail system. And then everybody has to be trained, including the burn boss, who has extensive training. And we use all those trained personnel, some staff, as well as volunteers and New York State DEC forest rangers to actually light and manage the fire. But the whole fire itself only takes a couple of hours to do. And basically we conduct the fire in a way that it burns into the wind, and as we encircle an area with fire, once the fire basically burns into itself, it consumes all of the fuel, all the available burnable material, and then it goes out. So typically we use almost no water to manage these fires. It's all about prepping the breaks and igniting it and managing the fire in a way that allows it to burn safely and then burn itself out. It's sandwiched between Albany and Schenectady, but there are 20 miles of trails throughout the preserve where you can go from fields and forests to barrens. There's a lake, a pond. There's a lot to see and a lot to do along the trail system in the preserve. This is what the area we just left that we burned this summer will look like in just a couple of years. The pitch pine and scrub oak all grows back very quickly. It's the reason why we're burning. Leave the pine bush alone by itself now that it's so fragmented and small will prevent it from staying healthy, really. But the area rapidly recovers following fire. And this will give you a better sense of kind of the pines and the bushes. So it's a pitch pine scrub oak barrens. There's the pitch pine. This is all predominantly scrub oak. So to date, we've protected 3,300 acres. Our ultimate goal is a preserve that's about 5,380 acres in size. There's a fair amount of open space. We're trying to connect the existing preserve here with the Woodlawn Preserve just across the border in Schenectady County to create not only a larger contiguous preserve, because the larger it is, the better our chances are of making sure that it lasts in the long term and the plants and animals that depend on this unique habitat. But also we're working to try and create through trails so that you can hike from the city of Albany or down on Fuller Road all the way out to the Woodlawn Preserve in Schenectady. So a lot of people come here and enjoy the preserve and the trails like the one we're on now. My own path to the pine bush and to working here started out in 7th grade. I loved ecology, 7th grade science teacher, public school. Just got into the ecology section of the class, and I just thought it was amazing, and to begin understanding how everything is so amazingly interconnected, and then all those connections are actually things you can see and measure, whether it's chemistry, all of that. I just found it fascinating to me, and I ended up going to school for environmental science and ecology at Paul Smith College, and then later I got my bachelor's degree at Plattsburgh State University, where I stayed on working on a graduate project in another pine barrens, Jack Pine Barrens, looking at birds and fire ecology. And that prepped me for my job here. I started out as a volunteer, and then a burn crew member, and then a seasonal science tech, and then eventually as the preserve ecologist, and later as the conservation director, which is the job I hold now. So I was recently asked, what could people do to help protect the environment where they are, and particularly whether it's the pine bush or elsewhere. And there are a few things that people can do. One is think about your own footprint, whether it's the amount of waste you produce, the amount of water you use, what you do in the out of doors to help protect wildlife, but also think about how you might be able to get involved. We here in the pine bush, we use a lot of volunteers to help do this conservation work, whether it's volunteers helping us on fires, pulling invasive plants, invasive weeds, collecting seeds of wild blue lupin and other native plants that we need to restore and help heal this landscape. But there's a lot you can do, and at the very least, if you visit our website at albanypinebush.org, you can find all of those volunteer opportunities and more. So next we're going to meet our Executive Director, Christopher Hauver, and Chris is an expert on all things related to the policies and finances of creating and managing this globally rare ecosystem.
Hi, I'm Chris Hauver. I'm the Executive Director with the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about who we are, the Commission itself, some of the goals that we have for protecting land, and some of the things that we do. We protect land, we manage it, and we provide the public with education and recreational opportunities. And when I say we do that as a staff. So one of the things we focus on, and we have for several years, since the Commission was created in the late 80s, is land protection. So the Albany Pine Bush Preserve was set up as part of the law that created this commission back in 1988. We have this goal to protect all the remaining land, all the remaining pine bush habitat that's out there. So currently we have 3,300 acres, or 3,300 acres in preserve now. And a lot of people don't know quite how large it is, but it actually spans the municipalities of Gilliland, the city of Albany, and Colony. And it spans throughout these areas in a kind of a fragmented way. And the idea is to look at the remaining lands that are out there, the habitat, and fill in those gaps to create a preserve that's not 3,300 acres, but almost 5,400 acres. So there's another 2,000 plus acres that we need to protect. One of the things I think is interesting is for people who aren't that familiar with the Albany Pine Bush, 3,000 acres, 3,300 acres is pretty big. How big? It's bigger than Thatcher Park, it's bigger than Grafton Lake State Park, it's bigger than Saratoga Springs State Park, all these big parks that are here in the capital region. The pine bush is actually bigger, but people don't know it because of the way it's spread out. And one of our goals is to try and get people to understand more of where this is and to continue to grow it. So how do you get involved? That's what people always ask me, how do we help? Well, you can donate money to our friends group, the Friends of the Pine Bush Community. Every dollar helps, $5 even helps. You can advocate. You can talk to your friends and say how important the pine bush is to you, or that it's not done yet. That's the message that we're still trying to get out, that it's not done. You can advocate to your local elected leaders too, in the state, or in the city, or in the towns, to let them know that it's an important thing here in your community. So here, what we have here, this is called Indian grass, and this is one of the three major grass types that we have that's called warm season grasses. The other two are little blue stem and big blue stem grasses. And what's interesting is These are native here to the pine bush, to these dry conditions, the sandy conditions we have in the pine bush. But they're also what made up the tall grass prairie in the breadbasket of the United States years and years ago. So some of the things I really enjoy about the pine bush are the recreational aspects of it. I certainly enjoy the habitat for what it is, being a plant person. But my favorite hobby is cycling. I've always been into road biking and mountain biking, and I still love to ride my bike in the pine bush. We've got over 20 miles of trails here in the pine bush that are open and marked for people to recreate on. You can hike, you can bike, you can run, you can just go for a walk. If you don't even want to go for a walk, you can just come into the Discovery Center and learn about the pine bush. You can go to a program. We have a lot of education programs, and they're free. And that's something that we're proud of. We used to charge for programs a nominal fee of $3 per person or $5 for a family. We recently got rid of that, just to be able to bring and be more, to have greater availability for people to come here and enjoy. So on behalf of all of us here at the Albany Pine Bush Preserve Commission, Aaron, Jody, Neil, myself, we hope you come and visit us. Come to the Discovery Center. Come to the Discovery Center and visit the Albany Pine Bush and learn about everything we can offer.
Well, welcome back. I'm still trying to bake the muffins. But finally, I think we're finished. I hope you enjoyed our show today. If you would like to make an order or donate muffins to charity, then please go to the website listed below. With every muffin order, we donate muffins to the charity of your choice. I call it giving your dough to charity. I also encourage you to donate directly to the featured charity today by going directly to our website and getting their information. Thank you very much for watching, and keep on dancing through life by giving to others through love. Let me finish baking these muffins, and see you next time.